Welcome back. Welcome back. Talk how we talk sports talk. And today's episode is being brought to y'all by two Louisiana boys. I'm one of the hosts, David O, and I'm here today with my good brother.
D Broussard.
Yes, sir. We in the building. We in the building. We're gonna be
Yes,
talking
sir.
about the
Yes, sir.
NBA today. You know what I'm saying? Got some stuff going on in the league. Season about to wind down. Playoffs about to start. So I'm gonna let my boy D do his thing, and then we're gonna jump right into it.
Yeah, man. Like always, man. Make sure y'all like and subscribe to the channel. Shout out to everybody that's already subscribed out there, man. We really appreciate y'all, man. And as long as y'all continue to keep subscribing, we gonna keep bringing this content to y'all, man. First things first, man. We gonna get into our normal segment of this show, talk how we talk, which is called What You Think. Now, What You Think is a segment where we bring up certain topics and we give you guys our perspective on each one of these topics. So, what you think? Bam Adebayo, David O, 83 points. What you think?
Man, I think it's a good thing for Bam, man. 83 points is not a small task to do. No matter what team you're playing against. No matter how you got the points. No matter the backlash about you breaking the record. You know what I'm saying? Like I was saying before, some people on both sides of the fence. Some people happy for him. Some people not happy for him. Me personally, I'm happy for him because, like I said, he broke a record, and it's not too many people that can reach that 80 point or higher level. There only been three people that's done it in the history. Will Chamberlain with the 100 point game, Kobe with the 81 point game, and now you got Bam with the 83 point game. So I'm happy for Bam. I know they didn't had some players who didn't got to the 60 point mark, but only those three they never hit over 80. And just to
Mm-hmm.
kind of touch on the topic a little bit about some people being unhappy with him not respecting Kobe legacy. Um, but at the same time, this man got his own legacy that he gotta, you know, fulfill and make his way in the NBA. You know what I'm saying? He
Mm-hmm.
might can't get all of the rings that Kobe and Jordan got. So, however, this man can get in the record books, I feel, he should be applauded for that, not you know, hated on or you know have a talk down. But people always gonna have their opinions, But my opinion is, I'm happy for Bam. You know, um, I don't know if he'll ever be able to have a chance to even do that again. You know, so when those opportunities come, you got to take advantage of them. You know what I'm saying? No matter how you got the points, no matter what team he was against, he still earned it. And that's how I feel about the situation with Bam in '83.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, I totally agree with you on that. A lot of people, felt it was kind of like mixed feelings about his performance, but going back and looking at the highlights of the game, because I didn't actually have a chance to watch the game, but going back and looking at the highlights, this was like a real game. I mean, even though the Wizards were, you know, not a really a good team, so to say, as far as record wise, and then a lot of people saying they're in tank mode right now. But even though, they were in tank mode, this still was a game. Like the Wizards still were competing
Yeah,
against the Heat. They were playing defense against Bam.
they were.
And, Bam still had to go out there and score these points. And I remember watching his interview where he said that I think maybe like in the beginning of the fourth quarter, he had like maybe like 70 or something like that.
Hmm.
And the Wizards cut this game down to 13 points. So Eric Spoelstra decided to put Bam back in the game. So it's not like the Wizards just allowed him to go out and score 83 points and didn't play
Yeah.
basketball against him. Like they actually were competing against the Miami Heat, and Bam was able to score 83 points by competing in this game.
Hmm.
And it kind of took me back to this podcast I was watching with former teammate of Bam, Michael Beasley, where he said that he felt like Bam is a point guard inside of a forward's body because there's a lot of things that Bam can do that he doesn't really show in the NBA, but it's a lot of things that he can do, with his skill set and things of that nature. So I think that he was able to show in that game that he's not just, an inside presence or a post player. It's a lot of things that, he can really do. So, yeah, man, shout out to Bam Adebayo, man, 83 points, definitely historical. And it's like you said with the Kobe thing. I mean, records are made to be broken. Kobe wasn't gonna be the first guy to score 81 points, and he wasn't gonna be the last person to score 83 points. So I mean 81 points. So, records are made to be broken. And I feel like people have to understand that, nobody's record is safe, in professional sports, any professional sport.
Yeah, especially with the way the game is being played today. It's not as physical as it was back in the day. In the Jordan era and stuff like that. So and
Hmm.
teams are scoring at a much higher rate than back in the
Facts.
day. You got
True.
teams
True.
scoring hundreds, 120, 130, 140 point games sometimes. So,
Absolutely.
with the games being that high and, somebody got to get the points. You know what I'm saying? Whether that go to all one man or whether that go to just a few individuals on the team. In order to get that high, somebody got to be scoring the points. And again, if that goes to one person, great. If it's a team effort, great. But at the end of the day, man, like you say, records made to be broken. And I just like I said, I feel good for Bam. I'm looking at like the standings right now currently for the playoffs. And right now the Heat is in number 7.
Hmm.
So they're not in the top 6 right now, but they are in the playoff, the play-in, to where they can earn a spot. You know what I'm saying? So they
Right.
still got a chance. They're still playing in it. So you know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? See where the Heat go with it. Um, but yeah, man, I'm happy for Bam. Eric Spoelstra, he's a great coach. So
Absolutely.
if he decided to put Bam back in there because the league was getting cut, and he wanted his best players on the floor to make sure that secured the W after him
Mm-hmm.
putting in that type of effort. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because just think if he would have, you know, put up that amount of points and then Wizards came back and they won. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Now it's like, you know what I'm saying? He didn't did this for nothing. So if he had to go back in the game to get the W for the team and to make his nights work, you know what I'm
Hmm.
saying, mean something, then I'm all for it.
Right. Right. Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I mean, the dude had like 42, 43 at halftime. So, I mean,
Yeah,
he
I think
just
it's
was
like the
balling,
first
man.
quarter. I think he had like 30 something in the first quarter.
Yeah.
He
Yeah, he
he
was
had
hooping.
basically had the same amount of points as the Wizards
Facts.
in the first quarter. And like you said too, it's not like the Wizards wasn't competing because they was double teaming them, they was triple teaming them. You know what I'm saying? So they tried to stop him, but it's just he did what he did. Now in 30, I think they said he had 36 free throws.
Hmm. Yeah.
So hey, if y'all
Yeah.
gonna foul a man and the man get to the line, it ain't his fault. But
Right.
again,
Right.
it kind of goes back to the thing of saying like how like the refs is they're calling things a lot more now than back in the day. Back in the day,
True.
it was letting the players play a lot more because you ain't never seen nobody doing no 36 free throws in no game.
Right. Right. True. Yep.
So I think that was like a record probably too.
Right. Right. Just on free throws.
No, for real,
Yeah.
for real, bro.
Yeah. And I saw,
36.
I saw the Rockets head coach, say kind of make it like, well, oh, he shot like 40 something free throws or whatever. So, you know, it was really no huge performance or whatever like that. But I mean, at the end of the day, man, I mean, he was getting fouled and he was going to the line and he was making these free throws. I mean, Bam, he scored them 83 points, man. Like, regardless of however he scored it, he scored it.
Yep.
That's how I feel.
Hey, maybe one day for one game he need to change his jersey number from his current number to 83, just for one game.
Facts.
And then he can set as like a memorabilia or something like that. You know what I'm saying? That'll shoot up his. That could be like a collector's item or something. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right. Yeah.
That's what I would do.
Now, the MVP race is starting to ramp up a little bit right now. Right now, you got SGA, Nikola Jokic, Victor Wembanyama, and also Cade Cunningham right now as the top MVP candidates in the NBA right now currently. And it's looking like Nikola Jokic is the top favorite right now. As far as just, you know, I guess like what people are saying, but MVP race, Dio. What you think about the MVP race, man? Who you think should win the MVP?
Man, like all those guys you just mentioned, is great players. SGA, Nicola, Cade, Victor. I even seen like Luca and Jalen name being thrown around too. But at the end of the day, um, it all goes about what player is making the most impact on their team, right? And not saying that they all not making an impact because they all are. Like
Mm-hmm.
the Thunder is not the Thunder without SGA. The Nuggets is not the Nuggets without Jokic.
Right.
Lakers ain't Lakers without Luca. Knicks ain't Knicks without Jalen. Victor,
Mm-hmm.
Spurs ain't Spurs without Victor. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So all and Pistons ain't Pistons without Cade. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So all of those guys deserve a pat on the back and tip your hat off to them. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Me personally, I always like the underdog. I don't like to go with the favorite. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And like right now, the favorite is SGA and Nikola. Nikola Jokic, like you said. You know what I'm saying? But I think the teams that haven't been there in a while, playoff wise, or haven't been to championships in a while. You know what I'm saying? And for those teams to have the type of seasons they're having, with the Pistons being number one pretty much all season in the Eastern Conference, and with Victor bringing the Spurs up, from to number two in the West, and
Mm-hmm.
beating the defending champions, the Thunder several times this year. You know what I'm saying? I think it should go to one of those guys instead of SGA because he got it last year. They won the chip last year. Nicola, they didn't win the chip. He's always in the race. So I think they need some new blood in there and people that's really made an impact on their team. And I think the guys that's really made an impact on their team is Cade, and I
Mm-hmm.
also think Victor has made an impact on his team as well.
Mm. True. True. Yeah. I think I agree with you on that. I like Cade Cunningham as a possible MVP guy, and also I'm kind of shocked that Jalen Brown's name hasn't been mentioned because the job he's done with the Boston Celtics with Jason Tatum out. For them to still be one of the top teams in the East. I mean, a lot of people had already written the Celtics off going into this season with the injury to Jason Tatum. A lot of people was like, man, the Celtics, they gonna be like at the bottom of the East or whatever. And right now I think the Celtics are currently like number two in the East right now, and a lot of that is because of the play of Jalen Brown. So
Yeah,
I feel like Jalen Brown, his name definitely should be, mentioned um, amongst the MVP candidates. And like you said, Cade Cunningham, we talked about it before on one of our previous episodes where we talked about the Detroit Pistons and how they were just, pretty much a non-factor in the Eastern Conference, and for them to finally, be playing the way they're playing, number one in the East, like you said, you know, Cade Cunningham, man, I feel like, in my opinion, I feel like Cade Cunningham really deserve it, but ultimately, in the NBA nowadays, it seems like it's more of a popularity thing now when it comes to the MVP, but I
yeah,
feel like Cade Cunningham definitely deserved that.
yeah, yeah. like you said, it's definitely a popularity thing. At the end of the day, but for most valuable player, that's what it means. Most valuable player, and when they're looking at it, they looking at it from, I guess, from a league perspective and things, and also team's perspective too. But
Mhm.
at the end of the day, like I say, if your team constantly been, at the top of the standings and constantly going deep playoff runs and constantly, appearing in championships, it's like, okay, you know what I'm saying? We know you're good. We know
Mm.
did this, you know what I'm saying? But that don't make you the most valuable player. You gotta
Mhm.
look at a team that hasn't been there and that's gonna probably be there and it's gonna make a deep run and possibly go for a chip. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? And I think that Kate Cunningham and the Detroit Pistons has done all of that. This season. Just from historically, like they ain't been good in a while,
Right.
since like the Chauncey Billups era, and
Mhm.
when they was winning the rings with Rip Hamilton and
Ben
Rasheed
Wallace.
Wallace and all of those guys.
Mhm.
So for the Pistons to be where they at and to be there the entire season with the Celtics trailing right behind them, the Knicks right there, Cavs, they did a trade, they did some reshuffling. You know what I'm saying? Raptors got a very young team. Not really young, but they got some veteran guys that's been in the league, but they still kind of like one of the younger teams because they got like Brandon Ingram. They had, I think Barnes is over there if I remember
Mhm.
correctly. They got R.J. Barrett over there. You know what I'm saying? So the East is not as weak as it used to be.
Right.
Right. You know what I'm saying? They got teams in the East that's just as strong as teams in the West. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? So for those reasons, I think Cade really deserves it. Just from what he's done with the team and just keeping it at that level for the entire season.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I
agree.
agree.
I
I
agree.
agree.
Now,
No.
playoff picture right now. It's a lot of teams that's starting to make some noise headed into the playoffs. The Clippers have been playing really well. Kawhi Leonard has been playing out of his mind lately.
Hmm.
The Suns, Boston Celtics, currently number two. Like I said earlier, nobody really thought Boston would even, you know, crack the top five without Jason Tatum. Also, the Atlanta Hawks have been playing really well with
Yeah.
Jalen Johnson, and they picked up C.J. McCullough, Buddy Hill,
Yeah.
um,
They on a
Jonathan
10 game
Kuminga.
win streak right now, man.
Yeah,
They doing good.
yeah, yeah. So, what you think about the playoff picture, Do?
Man, like right now, to be honest with you, it's really any man's game. It's really like
Mm-hmm.
the team that wanted the most is the team that's gonna be there. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Because any given day, these standings can kind of like switch. You know what I'm saying? A team get hot,
Mm-hmm.
team go on a win streak. It can switch because just a couple of days ago, Lakers, they was at number 5, but they went on a
Mm-hmm.
a little hot run, and they currently sitting at number 3. You know what I'm saying? The Rockets,
Yeah, I saw that.
they currently at number 4, so it's kind of going back and forth right there. Um, but what I do want to bring up, is that the Heat, like we mentioned, is on that 10 game winning streak. They're doing very well. Prior to that, the Hornets, they was on a good winning streak. You know what I'm saying? They was doing good as well. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like a lot of the teams are doing well right now. So like I said, it's kind of any man's game. You know what I'm saying? Like you're gonna have the favorites, right? Who the people gonna pick? Thunder, Spurs, Lakers. They always gonna have their favorites pick. But to be honest, I think it's wide open in the West and in the East because I think a number 10 can beat a number 1, and I think you know a number 5 can do an upset. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
I think it could be a lot of upsets because I think it's become more balanced now,
Mm-hmm.
where not every team, not one individual team has all the superstars. Because if you
Mm-hmm.
look at these teams, almost all of these teams got a superstar, right? Thunder got
Mm,
SGA, Spurs got Victor, Lakers got Luca and LeBron, Rockets got KD, Nuggets got Jokic and Murray, T Wolves got Edwards, Suns
mhm,
Devin Booker, Clippers like you mentioned Kawhi Leonard, Warriors, even Warriors is in the play in right now. You know what I'm saying? They still got Steph. When we know how he be when he get on fire. You know what I'm saying? I'm even surprised that the Blazers is sitting at number 10 right now with an opportunity to play in. You know what I'm saying? Then we go to the East: Pistons, Cade, Celtics, Jalen Brown, Knicks, Jalen Brunson, Cavs, Donovan Mitchell, Raptors. All of those players I just named, from Brandon Ingram all the way to R.J. Barrett. A very good group of guys. You know what I'm saying? The Heat with Bam,
mhm,
Magic with the guys they got over there. Hawks, like you mentioned, all of the people that they just acquired. You know what I'm saying? 76ers, Maxi. Hornets, not Lamar, LaMelo Ball. You know what I'm
mhm,
saying? So, like, all of these teams got players and superstars and, some good pieces around them to where they can go on a playoff run if they get hot.
mm. Yeah. Yeah, I agree, man. I feel you on that balance, and I think I kind of like that a little bit because right now I feel like it's no dominant team right now. Like it's no team that we can say like, oh man, they gonna dominate the playoffs or they gonna just you know you know beat everybody. It's really not like that right now. It's a lot of teams that's starting to really catch some momentum, really starting to play really well, starting to build some chemistry, getting ready going into the playoffs. So I agree with you on that. I feel like, right now it's looking like it's gonna be a pretty good playoffs. Like it may be some upsets, like you said as well, because as I mentioned when I first started on this conversation, uh, the Clippers right now, man, have been playing phenomenal. Like
Mhm.
Kawhi Leonard and the way he's been playing, I mean, he's been playing out of his mind. And I feel like whoever meet the Clippers in that first round, man, like they're gonna have a tough time because one thing about Tyronn Lue and his teams, they're gonna defend, they're gonna play hard, and they're gonna get after it. And with Kawhi playing the way he's playing, and they picked up Benedict Mathurin from Indiana, he's been playing well, and the Clippers have really been catching fire, man, along with the Suns as well. Like I've watched some games, with the Suns where like, man, they have a lot of shooters. Devin Booker has been playing well. They got Jalen Green over there from the Houston Rockets.
Mhm.
So, it's a lot of balance in the playoffs, man.
Yeah, yeah,
And
for
then
sure.
also Jason Tatum has returned to the Boston Celtics. So now that
Mhm.
elevate the Boston Celtics even more because they were already playing well with, just Jalen Brown, but now Jason Tatum back at the right time. So it's like it's gonna be scary.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Jason Tatum has returned, and you know, that's just beneficial for the Celtics. 'Cause like you mentioned, they've been doing their thing without him. So just to bring him in, you know what I'm saying, to as another scorer to go along with Jalen Brown. Definitely something to watch for. Definitely something to be scared of. You know what I'm saying? Because that
Hmm.
that that combo has already won a championship. They already been there. They know what it takes to win a
True.
championship. The coach is a
Hmm.
very good coach. They got a good front office. So yeah. So I like the Celtics in the East as well. I kind of like the Knicks in the East too. But
Hmm.
we gotta wait to see what happened, and as these playoffs play out. But
Hmm.
to go back to Kawhi Leonard, do
Hmm.
you think that by the Clippers letting trading for Harden, trading Harden away, and even getting rid of Chris Paul, not really sure if he was really playing that much at all, but do you think you know, Kawhi needed that? Do you think James Harden was holding Kawhi Leonard back?
Man, I'm gonna be honest, Dio. That's a good question. I think the Clippers needed that. I think it was time for them to move on from James Harden. And the reason why I say that is because to me, I've been watching them lately, and to me, it just seems like they've become a much better team now without James Harden. They're pushing the ball fast, like they're defending even better. Like, and them, also bringing in Darius Garland from Cleveland because they swapped Garland for Harden. It
Mm-hmm.
gives them a young point guard who is gonna defend. He's gonna make the right plays. Like, and we talked about this as well in a previous episode where I kind of said how James Harden is always gonna be great offensively, but it's just the defensive side of the ball is where he really lacks. And Tyronn Lue being a defensive type coach. He's won a championship with the Cleveland Cavaliers, and Tyronn Lue has always been a defensive coach. So I feel like with them trading Harden and bringing in Garland, bringing in Benedict Mathurin, it's just to me, bro, they look like a complete, totally different team right now. Like I'm serious.
Yeah.
Like they look like they could possibly go to the Western Conference Finals, in my opinion.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, man. Yeah, most definitely. Tyrone Lue. He's very good coach. You know what I'm saying? He's like you mentioned, he won the chip with Cleveland, and when they won that chip, they was down 3-1. So
Hmm.
they had to play some defense in order to come out of that hole. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? And all players had to be hitting on all cylinders. You know what I'm saying? I know they had Kyrie Irving, LeBron James combo, J.R. Smith, as a very good shooter, in
Hmm.
time of need. So yeah, man. Definitely shout out to the Clippers and Tyrone Lue. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Kawhi Leonard, he always been a great player. He
Hmm.
won a couple chips in San Antonio, won one in Toronto. We're gonna see if he can bring one to LA.
Right, right. Yeah, DR got one more question for you, man, before we get out of here, being that we touching on the NBA. Now, it's been reported today that the NBA Board of Governors are gonna be getting together,
Mm,
I think on the 27th of this month to talk about possible NBA expansion.
mhm.
Um, and the two teams that are being mentioned, or the two places that are being mentioned, is Las Vegas and bringing back the Seattle Supersonics. What you
Mhm.
think about this NBA expansion, Dio?
I think it's good. I think it's good because basketball is evolving as a worldwide cultural sport. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And the more exposure the NBA can get for these teams, the better.
Mm-hmm.
Even the NFL is starting to kind of take a little bit of the playbook from the NBA. You know what I'm saying? They starting to play games overseas now, and they
Mm-hmm.
starting to play in other countries, in Mexico and Canada, and
True.
trying to go to Europe and things like that. So expansion is good because with expansion that gives players more opportunities, to join teams, so the draft is gonna get bigger. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? You're gonna have more players that's gonna be able to make the teams now. You're gonna have more opportunities for these young guys who's dreaming of these opportunities. In Seattle, that's a franchise. That's a historic franchise itself. You know what I'm saying?
Fact.
So I definitely think that they needed to bring them back.
Mm-hmm.
From Gary Payton to Sean Kemp,
Mm-hmm.
KD, that's where he started his career at, and then they
Right.
moved to Oklahoma. So I definitely, and then they got the WNBA over there with the women's
Mm-hmm.
team. So what I'm saying, why not have the men's team, there as well? So
Mm-hmm.
I like the expansion with Seattle coming back. Kind of always knew, that would be one of the markets that they would consider.
Mm-hmm.
And Las Vegas, you know, the gambling capital of the world. You know what I'm saying? Sports betting is legal in almost all 50 states now. With all of
Yeah.
these different apps from not draft picks to DraftKings,
Mm-hmm.
Underdog, you know what I'm saying, Prize Picks and all of that stuff. So with the sports betting going on, on all of these apps, is only right that they would go to Las Vegas, to kind of get in on that action as well. And a lot of teams is Las Vegas market is hot right now for sports teams.
Facts.
They got the Oakland sent the Raiders there. The baseball team, the A's, is gonna be
Mm-hmm.
going to Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
They got the hockey team there.
Mhm.
So the only thing that was really missing was the NBA. And now, NBA is going there, and I think LeBron had a little been kind of pushing for Las Vegas too, because when he's gonna retire, he's looking to get into ownership, and
Mhm.
he's definitely stated that he wants to own a team, and I think he kind of been mentioning that Las Vegas was a potential good spot. So I like it. I like both cities, and I can't wait for them
Mhm.
to make it happen.
Yeah. 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 I agree with that, man. I definitely feel like it's good for the NBA. You know, Las Vegas, like you said, growing as a sports city. You know, like you say, Oakland A's, the Raiders are already there. So it was only right that the NBA, go to Vegas and, try to put something together out there in Vegas, man. They have a nice, sports crowd out there in Vegas. I just recall watching a lot of the summer league games and things of that nature that's always in Vegas. The crowds are always packed. There's a lot of people going. So, the city of Las Vegas, I definitely feel like they ready for some NBA basketball. And like you said too, as far as with the Seattle Supersonics, I've been waiting on this to happen because I grew up, you know, watching the Seattle Supersonics. Like you said, Sean Kemp, Gary Payton, Rashard Lewis, KD,
Yeah, Lewis,
Desmond Mason, Ray Allen,
Allen,
all
yep.
these guys that, played for the Seattle Supersonics, man. It's gonna be a real good feeling to see this historical franchise come back to the NBA, and possibly they get to have some retirement ceremonies, hang some jerseys up. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
yeah, man, I like it.
Yeah, man. Well, that's pretty much all we got for the night, everybody. We definitely appreciate y'all tuning in. You know what I'm saying? Talk how we talk, sports talk. Um, like and subscribe to the channel. Turn on the notifications. That way y'all know when we dropping. That way y'all be first to know. Definitely jump in the comments. Let us know what y'all think about, the MVP race, the
Hmm.
playoff race, the expansion. We would love to hear from y'all, and we active in the chats, we active in the comments. So we definitely respond to all comments that come through, and so we definitely appreciate y'all for tuning in. But until next time, you got anything else, D?
Man, that's it, man. Like my boy said, man, make sure y'all like and subscribe. Thank y'all for tuning in to Talk How We Talk, Sports
Yes,
Talk
sir.
for another episode, man. We're gonna keep this thing going as long as y'all keep subscribing. That's it, man. We out.
Yep, we out, baby. Y'all have a good night, or evening, or morning, wherever y'all at. Talk how we talk, man. Talk how we talk.